This video was chosen by one of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to become a patron and gain early access to videos, uncensored content, shoutouts, and video requests, hit the link in the description to learn more.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Swiggity swag, what's in the bag?
You swag to the maximum. Swag on 100,000, 100 trillion.
Swag.
I make sure his swagger is at very high levels at all times.
I'm gonna spend eternity alone with barely any swag.
There was a rapper in the year of 2017 who was going by the name as Playboyswag.
Hey, what's going on, world? It's your boy, Playboyswag.
Who the fuck still uses swag in 2017? Swag in 2017.
Swag in 2017.
The word swag has been synonymous with hip-hop culture since the early 2010s, and hip-hop culture is usually what people associate swag with when they hear it. But the word has been around for over 700 years. Personally, it's my favorite word of all time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. There are a fair share of songs that revolve around the concept of swag. Rappers often brag about how much of it is on their dicks, nuts, asses, and in some cases even their bitches. Their words, not mine. It can be turned on and off. There are different variations of it. Sean Combs changed his name to Swag at one point.
Only you can call me by my new name. Swag.
It was even awarded Hip Hop Word of the Year in 2011. Didn't know words could get awards, but okay. It's a verb, it's a noun, it's an adjective, it's an adverb if you use it correctly. So, with all this knowledge about swag, who created it? Who invented swag? Where did it come from? How does one obtain it? What constitutes as swag? And why is it still so fun to say after all of these years? I'm Sir Gregolas, and today I'm going to be going balls deep into some swag. All homo. Swag is believed to have Scandinavian roots, and its earliest use can be traced all the way back to the 14th century in 1303, where it can be found in the Oxford English Dictionary in reference to a bag, or a bulging bag. In the early 16th century, people combined swag with belly, and boom, new insult for fat people. In the late 16th century, people started to use the word swag to refer to someone who was abrasive, loudmouthed, and overconfident, but this usage of the word had a lot more of a negative connotation attached to it. That brings me to the 18th century, where swag was used to refer to illegally obtained goods. Then in the early 19th century, swag bags were just bags that criminals transported their swag in. By the time the 1950s rolled around, the term swag bag had a lot less of a negative stigma attached to it, and this is when people started using the term swag bag for just bags with goodies inside. But that begs the question, how did swag get to where it is today? So once the early 90s rolled around and hip-hop was becoming more popular in the mainstream, swagger began to develop more of an African-American appeal to it. One of the earliest uses of the term swagger was on Slow Down by Brand Nubian, which made it into the number 3 on Billboard's rap single charts at the time. Jay-Z would later help to cement the word into hip-hop culture in his album The Blueprint, which is considered by many hip-hop purists to be a classic hip-hop album. I'm sure you've all heard this line at one point or another. Jay-Z continued to change the very fabric of the swagosphere by contracting one syllable from swagger and coining the much revered term we've all come to know and love in his 2003 release, The Black Album, on which he uses the term on both public service announcement.
Check out my swag, yo, I walk like a ball player. No matter where you go, you are what you are, player.
And December 4th.
My self-esteem went through the roof, man, I got my swag. Got a vocal from this girl when the man got back.
But none of that made swag as popular as it is today. You wanna know what did? Yeah, that's how the world works. And look, I'm not trying to listen to a bunch of Soulja Boy to make this video, so just take my word for it. The man says swag a lot.
Swag, 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 swag.
So, after the success of Crank Dat and his platinum-selling debut record, Soulja Boy was able to for better or for worse, make swag a more definitive part of hip-hop culture. Now, don't get me wrong, Jay-Z helped to popularize the term and made that sick contraction to swagger, but Soulja Boy had the added benefit of being a fresh, divisive new face in the rap game at the time. He was, and still is, more of a product than a rapper, which is why he was able to stay relevant for as long as he did and popularize the term at the level that he did. Say what you will about the man, but he was definitely someone the hip-hop community loved to hate, and it was hard not to talk about him. I mean, just look at him. Need I say more? If you need proof of Soulja Boy's impact on swag culture, just take a look at some of these song titles from these songs released in 2007 and beyond. They are littered with swag. And some of these songs were actually pretty big. Swag Beta Swag, Swag.EXE, Dope Boy Swag, Purple Swag, I Got Swag, Swag Up, My Swag, Swiggity Swag, Swagger, Swagger Right, Pledge Allegiance to the Swag, Swag Surfin', Check My Swag, Unlock the Swag, She Got Swag, I Like Swag, I Own Swag. Actually, speaking of Lil B, Lil B, the Based God, is known in the rap game as a heavy swag enthusiast and is often left out of the discussion of influential MCs in general, which is a shame because I definitely think he's more of a thought-provoking lyricist than Soulja Boy, even though that isn't really saying much, but this dude made a swag a pop culture phenomenon with his music and gave the word swag more of a spiritual and positive flair to it. In an interview with Billboard.com, Lil B was asked to participate in a game called Swag or No Swag, where he was shown several pop culture figures and gave each one the verdict of being swag or not swag.
It's not swag for death, so Obama gets no swag. I got love for Glee. Glee needs to remix Lil B. Donald Trump is a swag. I don't know anything about Donald Trump really, so it's just like, you know, swag past him. Like swag, you know what I mean? Like, do you? Yeah, I got love for Rebecca Black too. She's swag, you know what I mean?
Soulja Boy's Juice-inspired mini-movie.
Yeah, that's swag. That's swag, man. That's bread, you know what I mean?
Now, personally, I disagree with a lot of Based God's opinions here, but that's not really the point of me showing you all of this. With this interview, we can gather that at this point in history, swag was no longer bound to the strict and arbitrary rules of literary norms, and it was no longer something that someone had to exert a ridiculous amount of money and energy to achieve, like hip-hop culture wanted a lot of mainstream listeners to believe. Lil B used his influence to make swag more of a mantra of positivity and goodwill as opposed to confidence and material possessions. The Based God made swag into something that everyone could tap into at any time and something that someone could set their own criteria for. What constituted a swag was no longer the decision of the culture, it was now on an individual basis. Something I think that swag could be completely non-swag to you, but it would be more swag for both parties to just agree to disagree. Anyone, or anything, could be or have swag. Or just saying the word on its own could be completely indicative of just a positive attitude, because the rules of swag have been completely rewritten. Thank you, Based God.
Swag.
Now, obviously, there's a lot more that we can get into, seeing as this word is over 700 years old, but I think that now is a good time to stop. Don't want to, overload you guys with information. So, thank you to all the people watching. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Please consider subscribing. This is Sir Gregolas, and this has been my half-assed entomology on swag. Peace.
Swag in the north, swag in the south, swag in the shorts, swag in my mouth. Swag on a trout, swag in a lake, swag while I'm burning at the stake, swag while I'm listening to Drake, second sus tape, on a search for a happy place, nigga. Swag.